Greetings petrolheads, welcome back to Automation the Car Company Tycoon game, and today I'm gonna show you two facelifts, two second generations of cars that we've already built in the past. The first one, you'll notice that this is no longer called the CL1 here, it is the CL, because there is a second generation of this car that uses the same body, the same platform. And obviously aesthetically we did some revisions by adding these vents and putting the indicators more to the side, and also this, like the middle part of the nose is a little bit lower, this is a little bit less steep, the rear window is a little bit longer, we have different tail lights, we have this grille around the Athena writing, obviously CL2 now, and the indicators are separated from the tail lights rather than integrated to make it sort of one unit. So these are the aesthetic changes, and then you'll notice that this has a 50 ending, so that's a 5-liter engine, and it is a retuned version of the Hercules V12, tuned for more bottom end torque, for more low RPM torque, for better drivability, and a little bit less power than on the CS1, because that is a little bit more of a sports car, more sporty than this anyway, whereas the CL is more of a cruiser, a very luxurious cruiser, and with only 2 doors and a great top speed and obviously fantastic interior. And this now also has a 3-speed automatic, just like the SXL1, and I'm really content with the fact that we only get 15.3% wheel spin when running a 5-liter V12 through 175mm rear tires. I was expecting more wheel spin, but I'm happy as is. This also gets solid discs now, front and rear, on top of having no more negative quality on the interior, getting power steering and advanced safety as well, to put it on par with the other more recent cars. And we tweaked the suspensions just ever so slightly to get the drivability back up to 1.0. And drivability is 38.6 with a comfort of 43.8. Those are massive numbers for 1964, honestly. It's pretty hard to achieve the drivability this high in 1964. And especially with a V12 on the front engine rear-wheel drive car. This engine obviously improves straight line performance significantly over the CL1, which only had 135 horsepower. Yeah, so the top speed is now 239 kilometers an hour rather than 202 or so. And the price, well, in 1964, this would be just under $3,000. And for that money, you get a lot of car, honestly. Like you get a V12 engine, you get handmade interior, you get a 3-speed automatic, which I guess is decent for the time, or at least adequate. You get power steering, you get a top speed of almost 150 miles an hour, and all that for just $3,000. So that is really, really good value, I think. But it's not like directly competing with our own sports car, the CS 150, because again the CS is more sporty, way more sporty. It's got a manual gearbox, got more power, and it's lighter, and so on and so forth. This is just, you know, luxury orientated, even though the CS also has a handmade interior, but this is a pure luxury cruiser that also happens to be pretty quick in a straight line. And yeah, then the second car I revised is the mid-size sedan. Now, this is quite a bit smaller than the first generation, but this body is new for 1965, and there is no bigger saloon body available in 1965 other than the one we're using for the SXL1, and that is certainly not what you'd call mid-sized. So I stuck with this. I didn't want to call this the SS1 because there is a smaller saloon body available, but it's okay. What do we got? We got a galvanized steel ladder chassis, front longitudinal engine placement, double wishbone front, solid axle rear. So far so good. Steel panels, nothing too out of the ordinary here. Galvanized steel because this is meant to be sold like not exclusively in America, more like around the world, where you know, rust is a potential concern, and this is more rust proof than regular steel. Aesthetically, this car looks, well, it's got a pretty simple look to it, like double headlights here, some indicators there, chrome between the grille and the headlights, and the rear end, some simple rectangular taillights here, indicators down there, and again the Athena riding with a blacked out grille between them. I think that looks pretty good, and obviously SM2 written here. Yeah, so this is again rear-wheel drive, of course. But the biggest new thing is that I decided that from now on the smaller V8s are gonna be flat bane V8s. That is because flat bane V8s are just inherently smoother and better balanced, just because of the way that you know, the crankshaft works, and that is better suited to a luxury car in my opinion, because if it's smoother and potentially also quieter, then that'll give it a higher comfort score. The maximum capacity of this engine is 4.2 liter. I left a little bit of reserves here. This is, you know, you can see I didn't go max for the max displacement on this one. It's only a 3.8 liter because we might want to use a little bit more capacity on one of our future cars that we build with this engine. We'll see. 190 horsepower is certainly up from the previous generations. 143, I think it was. And then we got a triple carburetor with 2 barrels, standard intake. I thought that was going to be the, you know, a reasonable setup here. Don't quite need 4 barrels, I think, to really get this thing moving at a fine pace. 5200 RPM limit, a very slight amount of valve float, but that's okay. Tubular headers, reversible mufflers, and then again an automatic 3-speed gearbox as opposed to the previous generation's manual 4-speed. That will cost it a little bit of sportiness, but this was never meant to be a sports car to begin with, and this will make for just fantastic drivability and comfort ratings. Then we got medium compound road tires with 155s front and rear. Again, pretty impressed with the relatively low amount of wheel spin. That's mainly thanks to the pretty long gearings you can see that even if I click in here once and increase it to 75, wheel spin goes up to 42.3%, and drivability increases from 41 to 37.4. So this is a massive difference, and acceleration won't, be hurting that much. 9.7 seconds is still adequately quick for a, at the time, mid-sized sedan with a relatively small engine back then. Because in the 60s, all premium makers, and especially American cars in general, not just premium cars, had fairly big engines, and the 3.8 wasn't, all that big. Even today as well, 3.8 liters isn't that big either, but it's certainly not as common anymore to have a 3.8 liter V8 in your car. 4 seats handmade interior. Only went for 4 seats instead of 5 because looking at this body, with 5 seats it is gonna get a little bit cramped in the back. This is not a particularly huge car. Phonograph, power steering, advanced safety, progressive springs. I thought about hydropneumatic, but then again, this is one of our cheaper cars, and the hydropneumatic springs would, I think, add more to the price than it's really worth. But we might use these on a future car. Well, we definitely will. Again, tweak the suspension so that we would have maximum drivability, and that is now at 41 drivability. This is going to be just a super easy car to drive for 1965. Very comfortable, and again, this is just over $3,000 in price. This will not compete with the CL2 though, obviously, because it is a 4-door and it's smaller in size, smaller engine, but this is practical and also very luxurious. What's even more practical and just as luxurious? The estate version of this car. So basically everything else is the same, other than the fact that it is now an estate car. I called the estate models now Voyage for like a journey or something, because everything you need for a long journey will fit into the boot. That's the idea of that name. And 39.9 drivability. Again, price is going to be pretty much $3,000. And overall, obviously, this car is going to be slower than the CL, but that shouldn't be surprising. Also, this engine again has a direct acting OHC setup, just like the V12 and the Colossus V8. The Rhodos V8 is always going to be the smaller V8, the flat plane V8 that we're going to be building, and this is the first generation of it. The bigger V8 is going to be called the Colossus, and the V12 is going to be called Hercules. Just a little bit of systematic thinking, I think, just a little bit of planning ahead, what's coming. Overall, this car, the estate car, will do pretty well in utility sport premium, utility sport luxury, not that much. Family utility premium, family sport premium, commuter premium, light sport premium, muscle sport with a 2 sportiness rating. I don't really know why that is, but And especially this one, the sedan, which has a 0.9 sportiness ratio rating, gets 108 competitiveness in the sport category. I don't know why. Like, if there's one thing this car isn't, it's sporty. But that is still the strongest category, so I'm not really sure why. Probably because it scores well in some of the other relevant categories, like drivability, it's really good, prestige, it's good, top speed is good for the era, footprint should not be that good, acceleration is okay for this time. Yeah, so this is basically your compact Rolls-Royce, if you will. This is a smaller Rolls-Royce for, for the man who has a family with 1 or 2 kids and a wife, and he wants to travel in style and great comfort while also having plenty of space, especially if he goes for the voyage. But he doesn't want to go particularly slowly, so that is 210 kilometers an hour. Top speed is certainly nothing to sneeze at for an estate car in 1965, I would say. And yeah, that is gonna sum it up for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like or a comment if you did. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.